Hello, it is 2:13 a.m. and I have to read because I haven't done it, so I'm doing it now. So we're going to read from my friend JC's book that she's writing about her experience in New Orleans, her basically falling in love with New Orleans and with somebody who lived there as well. So we're going to start with paragraph 17 through like 24, something like that. Let her hear what it sounds like. Also, love to get your opinion on if there's anything you feel I could be doing a little better as I read these and try to become a better actor. Alright, well, she's on the road right now. Our protagonist. I don't think I ever got her name. I think I ever get her name. Hang on a minute. I don't remember. Hang on, I'm looking. I just want to see. Mrs. Burroughs, but I can't remember what her first name is. Okay, well anyway. Mrs. Burroughs will probably come to me sometime. So anyway, Mrs. Burroughs is traveling with her kids. They're traveling to New Orleans to go see a sick friend, and they're still in the car right now. And just getting ready to head into the panhandle of Florida. It was nearly 11 a.m. when I began to round the bend, caught the I-10, and headed west into the panhandle of Florida. David Jr. and Solange had finally regained some semblance of consciousness. Mom, what are you actually planning on doing while we're in New Orleans? David asked, starting to sit upright now. Solange turned to me, also looking for an answer. I don't know, sweetie. I don't have any huge plans. I thought we could do some of the touristy things we never did when we lived there, and also to see all of the places we saw all the time, just to see what they're like now. Can we go to Edgeview, he asked, using by to mean to as they do in New Orleans. Both my children had gone there. I'd love to, was the obvious reply. Maybe we can make some groceries at the Winn-Dixie, Solange asked, lapsing into hysterical laughter. Right, but only if they're there for 9 in the morning, I said. When my children were young, first all this going on here. We got a lot of action happening on my phone. Let me start with that whole thing again. Maybe we can make some groceries at Winn-Dixie, Solange added, lapsing into hysterical laughter. Right, but only if we're there for 9 in the morning, I said. When my children were young, the first time we lived in New Orleans, I couldn't hear it, but my sister told me they had developed a southern accent. In fact, later, when I listened to a recording of Solange, she did have a striking accent. Now, 10 years and a lot of moves around the country later, the accent had all but disappeared. But they can do a great imitation, and they adored pulling it out of the drawer and trying it on from time to time. Do you have insurance on the car, Mama? My son said, putting ridiculous emphasis on the first syllable of insurance, and then he too broke into paroxysms of uncontrollable laughter. It felt like a different life, driving down an eternal highway in the sun with my 2 grown children laughing and lighthearted in the car. As we began to scan billboards for a place to stop for lunch, I thought back to the first time I had seen New Orleans. In January of the year, with David 4 and Solange 2, my husband had quit his cushy administrative job at an otherwise lackluster private school in Rochester, New York. I was glad to be leaving Rochester because the only job I could get there was at the Jewish Community Center childcare. But as the spring months crept by and my husband interviewed around the country without a job offer, I silently began to panic. So it was the joy of those who look ruin in the eye and are able to stare it down that I anticipated moving to New Orleans. Practically in the Gulf Coast, as I told one of my co-workers, my knowledge of geography south of the Mason-Dixon line was nil. Summer of '92, the 4 of us had set out, David driving an old LeBaron convertible, red, and I driving a cavernous blue VW bus. As we rounded the bend in Birmingham, the skies opened like a junk closet door in the most magnificent rainstorm. I ever driven through was bestowed upon us. I marveled. Later, I knew that was just the way of the South, letting off a little steam. About the same time that next afternoon, we drove into New Orleans. As we got off the I-10 and headed for St. Charles Avenue, it showered again. Again, I was breathless. But this time, it was not only because of the storm, but also because of the other world I had driven into. The immense Spanish moss-draped live oaks trees that canopied the St. Charles were stately. The huge homes, bedecked with balconies that Scarlett O'Hara might have looked out from, stunned me. The old drab green streetcar number 973 rumbled past. I gawked as the rain petered out, the sun broke through again, and the heat from the pavement began to rise. That's chapters 17 through 23 of JC's book. I'm just calling it New Orleans. Good night.